The Haunted Hospital and the Cursed Nurse. In a remote part of the city, there was an abandoned hospital called St. Mary's Hospital, known for being a refuge for evil spirits. Legend said that the patients who died there never left, and that their screams could still be heard echoing through the dark hallways. But despite all the terrifying stories, Nora, a young nurse, decided to challenge her fears and move into a small room inside the hospital. She needed a cheap place to stay, and she didn't believe in ghosts or curses. Her first night. The beginning of terror. On her first night, as Nora locked her door and lay down on her bed, she heard heavy footsteps in the hallway. She assumed it was intruders, but when she opened the door, she found nothing. Silence filled the place once again, but suddenly, she heard faint whispers coming from one of the locked rooms. Trembling, she grabbed a flashlight and cautiously walked toward the door. As she got closer, she saw it. The door was moving on its own, as if something behind it was trying to escape. The ghostly nurse. In the following nights, the strange events escalated. She heard eerie laughter, saw shadows moving through the halls, and felt a cold hand touch her shoulder when she was alone. One night, Nora woke up to the sound of muffled crying. When she opened her eyes, she saw an old nurse standing in front of her, wearing a tattered uniform. Her face was pale, and her eyes were sunken in complete darkness. She whispered in a chilling voice, "They took my soul, and now, I will take yours." Before Nora could scream, she felt an invisible force dragging her off the bed, pulling her across the floor. She tried to resist, but her body wouldn't respond. Suddenly, the force stopped, and she found herself inside an old operating room, filled with rusty surgical tools and blood-stained walls. The dark secret of the hospital. From the shadows, a pale-faced doctor appeared, holding a scalpel, slowly approaching her. He muttered strange words in an unknown language. Then, just as he was about to reach her, the room vanished, and Nora found herself back on her bed, gasping for breath, but her hands were covered in blood. The next morning, she decided to leave the hospital immediately. But as she reached the door, she saw her reflection in the mirror. It wasn't her usual face. Her skin had turned pale, and her eyes were completely black, just like the ghostly nurse. At that moment, she realized the horrifying truth. Nora had become part of the haunted hospital, and she could never escape.